Well, I think there's a difference between saying whether you're complying with the law and then you have these individual district court judges setting effectively broad federal policy that is specifically reserved for the President of the United States. I think we do have a constitutional crisis.
We get to the Supreme Court by the judge's ruling, things going to appeal, and then it goes up.
And in the meantime, what happens? Trump can't act? Trump can't act?
In the meantime,
should he have to share the presidency with 300 district court judges? No, absolutely not.
But the point, though, you made a really good point that there have been judges that shut down some of President Biden's executive actions, and they understand, the Biden administration understood that the checks and balances.
The Supreme Court tried to stop me, but they never will.
But not in the way that Donald Trump is.
Who said that? Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Joe Biden.
But Scott, he actually didn't ignore it.
He did. Right. They continued to plow.
What's going on, guys? So we got another episode of CNN's The View, okay? Like this woke panel, News Night with Abby Phillip, where the leftists are crying. The saga continues. The liberal tears have been nonstop ever since election night, okay? Like, this is just sad and pathetic at this point because they're upset that Donald Trump has been executing all these executive orders. Some federal activist judges have been trying to get in the way, trying to demand that he reinstate fired federal employees.
USAID workers will not be placed on leave tonight. A judge blocked the Trump administration from putting 2,200 USAID workers on paid leave that was supposed to start at midnight. The judge sided with two federal employees associations. Both argue President Donald Trump does not have the authority to shut down an agency that's enshrined in legislation passed by Congress. This is video of crews taking down the signage outside the agency's headquarters today. This comes as the Trump administration is working to dismantle USAID. Today, crews used duct tape to block out the agency's names at its headquarters in Washington.
Stop his Doge investigations, right, with Elon Musk. They're trying to stop him from basically doing everything. These are not real judges, guys. These are activists. The whole reason they probably got into the law system, got their law degrees, became attorneys, is so that they could be woke activists, so they could have power and control. I know plenty of people like this in real life, and trust me, that's the only reason that they're there, is so that they control outcomes and have them go in a direction that they want, right, wrong, or indifferent. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and react to Scott Jennings, of course, cooking this stupid, Trump deranged, liberal, leftist, brain dead panel like he always does.
We do know that judges do get to say whether the executive is complying with the law or not. That's been the case for decades, hundreds of years.
Well, I think there's a difference between saying whether you're complying with the law and then you have these individual district court judges setting effectively broad federal policy that is specifically reserved for the President of the United States. I think we do have a constitutional crisis, and it's being caused by these judges. They're not here to tell us. They're not here to tell us how to spend the money. They're not here to set broad federal policy. That is the president's job as elected by the people. These judges are supposed to be settling discrete, specific matters, not policy setting. I think Vance is right. I think Trump has a point. And these judges want nothing more to continue the lawfare against
I don't
Trump.
think anybody's going to be surprised to hear that you think Trump is
they're
right.
doing this on
However,
okay, Abby, well, at which point do you think Trump is right? Because I've been watching you for over a year now, probably going on 2 years, and I ain't never heard you say that you think Donald Trump was right, made a good decision, it agreed with anything Trump or any other conservative has done, period. Somebody send me some clips, because you seem to always defend Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris and the radical left Democrats, who most people, even regular Americans, aren't defending anymore for the most part. They got their ass kicked in the election and they're like, all right, I'm done. I did what I was supposed to do. And you sitting up here still defending these people trying to trans kids and open the border. Where was your criticism for all that?
Just on a real important technical point here, one of the main disputes is whether the executive branch can just decide not to spend money that another co-equal branch has said ought to be spent. So it's not just about forcing the federal government to spend money. It's saying Congress said you need to spend this money this way, and the executive branch saying, no, I don't feel like it, and the courts say you have to.
Well, my
comply with
answer
the
to that simply.
Hasn't it always been the case that Congress can pass or not pass a bill and a president can just issue an executive order that just kind of overrides all of that? And then if the Supreme Court decides that they don't want that to happen, then they can strike it down. Case in point, the border wall. Congress originally never passed any bill that allowed for spending on the border wall during Trump's first administration, and yet Trump got it through anyway. And no judge came back and said, hey, Trump, you can't do that. They still allowed him to do it. So it's not quite as simple as they're trying to make it out to be.
The executive branch's job to figure out how to spend money once it is appropriated by Congress, and sometimes they spend money that's not been appropriated, but the correct political control is between the executive and the Congress, not some random
I want to
federal
return
judge.
to that because that is also a major legal question.
Do you really think that J.D. Vance's tweet is only about these district judges?
I think
this is about this is a slippery
it's the
slope
first
because
piece.
they're going to move on to what the next ruling is. They're setting the stage so that they can say that the executive branch has control now over the judicial branch. They're setting the stage. And for people who think that President Trump has not planned all of this, he pushes the envelope constantly. There was January 6th. He has a myriad of people out there
Here we go
that
again.
would support the executive branch being able to rule over the judicial branch because they're
Guys, does this make any sense? Let me know in the comments. Does anything this lady's saying make any sense to y'all? Maybe you can explain it to me, because to me it just sounds like more Trump derangement.
There have been no repercussions. And when there are not consequences and when there are not repercussions, you get away with it.
I get it.
Didn't a bunch of people go to jail over January 6th? And then they also tried to jail Trump for it and put his family through the ringer. And they still, to this day, call him an insurrectionist. I say there has been consequences for it. Like, how much damn consequence do you need? The man got shot.
You want individual federal judges who hate Donald Trump.
No, I don't.
To tie him up for 4 years.
No, I don't.
If you want a big
Not at
policy
all.
questions decided, let the Supreme Court do it. But in the interim, the executive has to be allowed to govern.
How do we get to the Supreme Court? Can
Just
somebody
appeal,
tell me?
and that's fine. But you can't tie him up
we get
until
to
it
the
gets
Supreme
there. You
Court.
can't tie him up
we
until
get to
it
the
gets
Supreme
there.
Court by the judges ruling, things going to appeal, and then it goes.
And in the
up
meantime, what happens? Trump can't act? Trump can't act?
In the meantime, you're supposed to comply with the court's rulings. Am I wrong about that?
Well, you're supposed to comply, but Scott's absolutely right in that the court cannot say you have to spend these dollars today. So as a governor, I dealt with this. We got things challenged in state court and federal court. It's all judge shopped, by the way. Judges don't randomly get these cases. There's a reason that these cases are filed in Boston, the Boston court, or a certain district, Rhode Island, because they know they're going to get a judge that's a political.
They're filing the cases against Trump in liberal cities and states. And Abby Phillip is trying to pretend as though that's not a relevant factor. I don't know. Why are they so disingenuous all the time? Why can't they just be honest and say, hey, is there such thing as a partisan judge, an activist judge? If the answer is yes, then the argument clearly works, because we know that is true. But they're trying to pretend like that's not even a thing.
It's in practice as well.
Yeah. Both sides do it. I mean, I think
times that district.
Oh, so now she's saying because both sides do it, it's an irrelevant point.
Judge one guy in Texas shut down Joe Biden.
But you raised the right point. Should the president, the singular president, should he have to share the presidency with 300 district court judges? No, absolutely not.
But the point, though, you made a really good point that there have been judges that shut down some of President Biden's executive actions, and they understand. The Biden administration understood that
he ignored
the
it.
checks and balances.
Yeah, he ignored it.
Tried to stop me, but they never will.
But not
Who
in the
said
way
that?
that Donald
Who said
Trump
that?
is.
Who said
Not
that?
in the way that
Joe
Donald
Biden.
Yeah,
Joe
but
Biden.
Donald Trump.
It's not the same thing? Now, well, Joe Biden tried to stop it, but it's not the same thing. Take a look at this clip where he specifically told the crowd, they started cheering when he said he defied the Supreme Court for student loan forgiveness.
Supreme Court blocked me from relieving student debt, but they didn't stop me. So far, I've relieved student debt for nearly 5 million Americans. A significant number are black borrowers.
They didn't have no problem with that. Whenever it's things that they support, they don't mind bending the law, breaking the rules. But when it's Trump, all of a sudden he can't do that. No. They're clutching their pearls. They're crying. Daily liberal tears, guys. I hope y'all are ready. It's going to be a long and glorious 4 years. I'm loving every second of these tears. Delicious.
Ignore it.
He
That's
did.
right.
They continue to plow
No.
forward with student
No, he
aid. How
didn't.
much did
No,
they spend?
no.
Let me set the record
Scott,
up.
We
didn't.
actually got dinged on
I
the student loan
hated
debt
the student.
forgiveness.
She, now Abby Phillip is over here bold-faced lying to everybody. I just saw the clip.
Forgiveness
What
policy.
did he say
Hold
out
on.
loud?
I thought
What
it
did
was.
he say
I
out
thought it
loud?
was a ridiculous
didn't
policy.
ignore it.
I thought it was unconstitutional. I predicted it would get struck down. It did get struck down, and I
didn't
applauded.
ignore it.
He did not ignore it, though. He went and tried under a different law.
So he ignored
You're
it.
allowed. No,
That's not ignoring it. That
So
is
he was
trying
not
to
ignoring
be
it. It's trying to do it.
defied. He
It's trying to do
really
it.
defied it.
But let me just
So
understand
what
where
they're
you-
saying is that, oh, that was different. That's basically what they're saying. Oh, that was different. Well, you think Trump isn't ignoring it? Of course he's going to work within the confines of the law and try to do whatever he can. That's what he's doing now. So what the hell's the difference? They're trying to say, well, Trump just ignored it and Biden didn't. How the hell do you know exactly what Trump is doing? Trump never said, I am ignoring it. He just is moving forward. We don't know how he's moving forward. Nobody knows the exact intricate details exactly how he's moving forward, except Trump and his team. So what the hell? How the hell do they know the difference either? They don't.
where he thought it was unconstitutional. I predicted it would get struck down. It did get struck down, and I
didn't
applauded.
ignore it.
He did not ignore it, though. He went and tried under a different law.
So he ignored
You're
it.
allowed. No,
That's not ignoring it. That
So
is
he was
trying
not
to
ignoring
be
it. It's trying to
under
do it.
law.
It's
He
trying to do
really
it.
defied it.
But let me just understand where you stand. If a district court judge rules in a way that the president dislikes, should the president listen or should the president defy?
If a district court judge tries to usurp the authority of the chief executive of this country, he should absolutely defy it. There's a difference between broad policy decisions and discrete disputes between parties. That's the difference. If I want a policy decided, I'll take it to the
But
Supreme
what about
Court.
checks and balances?
Well, Scott, you're
What
also
about
of a
checks and
district
balances?
court judge
What I
who
can't
elected
what I
them.
can't get with is you talking in these bizarre, broad generalities.
It's not bizarre.
Every single one of these cases deals with a discrete issue. Okay, it deals with funding. It deals with with certain constitutionally or statutorily appointed roles. Every single one of these things is a distinct thing, and they're all being dealt with by different judges. So it's not broad
In
swaths
liberal places. Let's keep going.
of policy here.
It
When
is.
the court says Congress, appropriated this money, you must unfreeze it while we litigate this. Why can't Trump comply with that?
So you're saying that a judge should decide how and when money is spent
judge is saying-
for years and not the president of the
Look,
United
Scott,
States?
let me explain
You're a governor,
little bit
you
more.
know.
Let me explain it a little bit more slowly. A judge is saying
You don't have to talk to me like that.
Congress.
I have a position on this, and you have an
Okay.
opinion. We can disagree.
Yeah, but I'm saying listen to me because you're not listening.
trying to look. Don't disrespect Scott over here. Well, let me say it more slow. Imagine if Scott said that to her.
Oh, hell to the north, Hollywood.
Can you imagine that whole panel? Scott would be fired. They would have been like, "Get the hell up out of here, Scott! You racist piece of dog crap." You think it's okay for her to do that? I don't think so. We want equality up in here. Don't talk to Scott like that. First off, Abby, I've been watching you for years. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's one. And number two, this whole situation is a bunch of activist judges, and you're trying to pretend as though that's irrelevant. Anytime Scott makes a valid point, she just ignores it and just talks about something else. If you know that the goal is to try to delay, they haven't voted on the majority of Trump's cabinet yet. They voted on like a handful of people. And we're about to be a month in, and they still talking about doing interviews and follow-up interviews, some of them lasting multiple days. So they're delaying on that front. They're screaming about everything. They having whole rallies dedicated to Elon Musk and how nobody elected him and howling and screaming about Elon Musk. They're bullying a guy outside the Department of Education. They're using the courts to stall and delay every single initiative that Trump has across the entire country and every court that will possibly agree to do it. So, yes, Trump needs to find ways to work around these lunatics. He doesn't just need to just sit there, well, guys, I tried everything that I can do. I guess, it's going to take another 2 years for possibly the Senate or House to flip, and then all of a sudden now we can't do any damn thing at all. That's really what they want. And Abby's dumbass is sitting over here saying, well, Trump just needs to just let it happen. No, he doesn't need to let it happen. He needs to do whatever the hell he wants to do. He's the president. He needs to figure out exactly what to do to fulfill his agenda, and these activists need to get the hell up out of the way. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Saying, you listen to me because you're not listening and you're making claims that are not connected to the facts. The judge is saying
Maybe you are.
Congress appropriated